Recording in progress.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Ms. Newton, your all members here except for Ms. Dean and Mr. Henderson.
Okay. Do you need me to call roll, or do you want to call roll this morning? Or are you good?
I verified everyone except for Ms. Dean, so I haven't heard from her. Gina, have you heard from Ms. Dean this morning?
I have not heard from Ms. Dean.
Okay. And you have Dr. Hill then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll go ahead and start if you're good then.
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a good break and had some time with family and were able to rest a little bit. Thank you for taking time out of your schedules to join us this morning. We'll go ahead and start with a moment of silence. So if you'll join me this morning. Thank you. Do we have any changes to the agenda? No?
changes.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Freno. Nothing on the consent, so we're to the action agenda. We have several items that are rules to release for public comment, and I think, Ms. Freno, the first three are yours.
Yes, thank you, Ms. The first rule, the set of rules are the rules governing I&B screening report in Arkansas public schools. Are you guys hearing a lot of background problems? I wonder what's causing that. Oh, I don't hear them now. But the division is requesting that these rules be released for public comment on pending governor's office approval.
The first one is I envision. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve pending governor's office approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Dr. Moore
I'll second.
and seconded by Ms. Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Ms. Freno, the rules governing administration of insulin.
Yes, Ms. Newton, the second set of rules are those governing the administration of insulin, glucagon, and medication for adrenal insufficiency or crisis. Really, the only changes made to these rules had to do with the administration of medication for adrenal insufficiency or crisis based upon legislation that came out this session. And we're requesting that these rules be approved for public comment release pending governor's office review.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to release for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Moore,
I'll second.
seconded by Ms. Woods. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Ms. Freno, the next public comment.
I am not hearing anyone.
Okay, make sure that whenever you, when we ask for a vote, that you do actually speak your vote and unmute your computer. Okay. All right, Ms. Freno, are we ready for the third one?
Yes, the third one are the rules governing documents posted to school district and education service cooperative websites. And the division requests that these be released for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion on these rules?
I'll make the motion to approve pending governor's approval.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Sutton,
Second.
A second.
seconded by Dr. Hill. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. All right. Our next ones are rules governing school-based AED devices and CPR programs. Mr. Daughtery. Is he on?
Brian, you have to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
All right, so this is the rules governing school-based automated external defibrillator devices and cardiopulmonary resuscitation programs in Arkansas public schools. And the division is requesting release of these rules for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion on these rules?
Motion to approve pending governor's approval.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sutton.
I'll second.
Was that Dr. Rankin? No, Ms. Woods. Okay, second by Ms. Woods. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Motion passes. All right. Ms. Park, public comment release rules for governor requiring training for school board members. Is Ms. Park on?
I'm sorry.
There we are.
The division requests that these rules be released for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I have a question.
All right.
And this was important to me when I was on the board, and probably for Ms. McFetridge as well. But can you explain to me, because I've read this many times, I'm a little confused about the period at which they can make up, board members can make up hours if they didn't get it through the year. I'm not sure exactly what this is saying.
And I can only assume because the title or in the purpose of the bill, it said it was to extend that time period. And when I read it, I thought, well, this is the same time period, but I think it's clarifying that you can start gaining those hours prior to the first meeting, because the way it was worded previously kind of sounded like from the beginning of the first meeting through the end of January. You make sure 30 days from the date of the January board meeting. So now it says January 1 through the date 30 days following the board meeting. So I think it could have previously been interpreted to say you have to wait for that first board meeting and then you have 30 days. So this to me clarifies it saying beginning January 3rd through the 30 days after the first meeting. Did that help at all?
Well, if the first, of course, I guess districts have different times of their board meetings, I guess, but let's say the board meeting is the third Thursday of the month. Is it 30 days beyond that period, or is that what it's saying?
Yes, 30 days. Yeah, regardless of what day it's held in the month, you have 30 days after that January meeting.
Okay, I got it.
Is that something that maybe we need to clear up a little bit in the rules if it's that confusing?
Or maybe I'm just that stupid. I don't know.
No, I wouldn't say that, Mr. Sutton, but maybe that's something that legal might look at a little bit closer and see as we take in comments.
Ms. Park, I think the extension is actually on the front end rather than extending on the back end. And usually when we talk about extending, it's on the back end, but this actually moves it up so that you can start earlier in January. If, you know, in that instance, if it was the third Thursday in January, you didn't have to wait until then. Under the previous wording, it could be interpreted that you had to wait all the way through January until that third Thursday, and then your clock started. This actually gives you time to do it earlier.
Okay. I'm good.
Does that help, Mr. Sutton?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, good. All right, then are we ready for, I apologize, I haven't been given this time for any discussion on these rules. So if you do have questions or need to discuss, make sure that you slow me down a little bit. All right, are we ready for a motion on these rules?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Sutton to release for public comment pending governor's office approval,
I'll second it.
seconded by Ms. McFetridge. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, our next one is rules governing public charter schools. Ms. James.
Yes, ma'am. The division is requesting that the board release these rules for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Are there any discussion on these rules this time? Okay, are we ready for a motion?
I'll move to release for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Okay, a motion by Dr. Moore
I'll second.
and a second by Dr. Rankin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, this next one is our only, I think, final approval that we had. This was final approval of rules governing the Arkansas Teacher Corps, and also Ms. James.
Yes, ma'am. The division is requesting final approval of these rules. They have been through the public comment period, and there were a few small changes, which you'll see on the draft in the public comment matrix that I've uploaded. Not a whole lot of changes, but we're just requesting final approval of these rules.
Any discussion or comments on these rules? Okay, we're ready for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, a motion to
Second.
approve by Dr. Rankin. Who was the second?
I did. I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Dr. Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, item 8, rules governing the right to read act, and that is Ms. Park.
Yes, the division requests that these rules be released for public comment pending governor's office approval.
I have a couple of questions, Ms. Newton.
All right,
I'm wondering why we had to change the year to 2023-24, wondering why it wasn't maybe possibly 2022-2023. Was there that great of a need to expand in those years?
Which section are you looking at? Because
I'm sorry, yes, 4.00.
Ms. McFetridge, I think it was COVID related, making sure that everyone had time to get their professional development. But Ms. Park may have more information.
I do not have, this is what the division requested. So I'm sorry, I do not have the answer to why that was the date.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I can help with that. So with the interruptions that occurred due to COVID and basically shutting down of a lot of the in-person professional development opportunities that we had, the learning services looked at this and felt like it was important to give extra time. We debated what, basically this reflects what was in the legislation, but the time that we debated whether it would be an extra year or an extra 2 years, but we still had PD going, but because so much of this PD was important to have in person rather than having virtual, we did not want teachers to feel that they were possibly under threat of losing their job if they did not make the timeline, and that actually pushing that out 2 years would prevent a situation where teachers were under a intensive support plan or something to get that the science of reading, I believe is what and I'm looking, Stacy is out today and she could confirm all that, but to the best of my recollection, that's kind of why that date was set where it is.
Okay.
Remember
Thank
that
you.
discussion also.
I appreciate that. I'd like to ask another question in that same section. Does pre-K, they don't start the science of reading in pre-K? Is that why pre-K wouldn't be included in the trainings?
Pre-K is not a requirement for licensure for science of reading for pre-K. We do have pre-K science of reading work that is, I guess you would say maybe in the second phase or the next phase. I mean, we're doing it now. It's part of what we're spending some of the additional ESSER funds on that we've been received or that we've received, that developing that the pre-K standards, all of those things that need to happen that had already happened for K-12 was happening next, and that's what we're in the process of doing now. So we're not at a point of making requirements for that, but for standard licensure. So even if a pre-K teacher has a standard early elementary licensure, they're still going to get that. But the actual pre-K elements for 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, that work is being done now in conjunction with the ABC unit here and with DHS.
Okay, thank you. I've got one more question. In that same section, what is e-finance? It says that.
E-finance, was that your question?
Yes, I'm not aware of what e-finance is.
That's our statewide, that's part of AppScan, the Arkansas Public School Computer Network, where all of the finance data goes into our data warehouse. That may not be the best descriptor of it, but it's our record keeping. It's where all districts put in their finance records, and we're able to have it there. So you have eSchool, which is the student side, and then eFinance, which is the finance side of AppScan.
Okay. So teachers are going to have to be aware of eFinance or demonstrate a proficiency in it. I was just confused by that. And that's 4.03.
I'm trying to pull up the rules now. Give me just a minute.
I'll add in a question on that. How big of an impact do we think this is going to be? Like, are there the majority of teachers that need to get caught up, or do we have any idea what the impact will be?
I do not have those numbers. I don't think it would. I mean, we have probably, trying to think of the last update that we saw on that, but there were 16,000 teachers in the pipeline, either having completed or in the pipeline to complete. For K-6, it was they had to have the proficiency, and then for the secondary teachers, they have to demonstrate awareness or complete the awareness requirement for it. But if we want to, if we can, Madam Chair, can we move to one of the other ones? Let me see if I can get Stacy on, and she would have some answers to a lot of those questions.
I looked at that part of the rules that Ms. McFetridge is referring to, and I think that is a typo. I don't think it's supposed to say e-finance. I think it's supposed to demonstrate a proficiency in science of reading. So I think that would be something that would need to be corrected. And since we're just releasing for public comment, I think that can be corrected, but I don't know, Ms. Freno, if that would be a major correction or not.
No, that could be corrected. The e-finance actually appears in the current copy of the rules. So that was something that already has been promulgated, but yes, I mean, definitely, if it should say the science of reading, we need to get that changed to the science of reading.
Okay.
And we can do that during the public comment period.
Okay. Maybe that's something, go ahead and flag and check out and see what that's supposed to say. Thank you, Ms. McFetridge, for catching that.
If I could just offer a point of clarification, e-finance is used to house all of the job codes and licensure codes for teachers. And there is a central office, district office employee that would be responsible for documenting all of that professional development within e-finance. So it probably just needs to be clarified in that capacity.
That it's that person.
Yeah, it's part of cycle reporting.
Okay, I didn't understand why it was in the Right to Read Act then.
Yeah, it's just that required PD piece has to be captured.
Okay, all right.
But the teacher is not responsible for documenting that. They're just responsible for getting the training. Someone in the central office would enter that into the e-finance platform and then submit that to the department.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It just the way it says, I designate each teacher as having demonstrated proficiency or awareness in e-finance. So it sounds like each teacher is going to have a proficiency or awareness in e-finance, and I'm not sure that's what we're meaning there. So
no, e-finance is just where that proficiency is housed as being documented. So I think that just needs to be clarified a little bit.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Freno and let's see, who was this? Ms. Park, y'all are taking notes on this, I'm sure.
Yes.
And, I just reached Stacy. She's going to get on the Zoom in a few minutes. So we might, if you want to, we can skip to the other items and then come back to this one.
Okay, why don't we do that? We'll go on then to item 9, rules governing Arkansas ESSA. Mr. Daugherty. Mr. Daugherty.
Yes. The division requests that the board release the rules governing the Arkansas Educational Support and Accountability Act for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Okay. Have any discussion? Do we have a motion?
Miss Newton, I'm sorry. I'm kind of trying to look at my notes. I'm just wondering about getting these assessments to our schools earlier than August 1st of each year. And as you know, the earlier the schools and the staff can get their scores, the better it is for them in planning. Is that a set in stone August 1st? When it's in this, it is. So if the results were going to come out earlier to the division, could we get them out earlier to the schools is, I guess, what I'm asking. Does this piece have to be set in stone as August 1?
Okay, is there someone on that can answer that question?
Well, I'll try. Ms. McFetridge, that statute was changed. If you remember, it was July 1. And we moved the window. You know, one of the things that we've had to deal with for a long time is the push-pull of getting the testing window as late in the school year as possible. So, more content can be covered before they actually take their statewide assessment. And so we moved that testing window, but with the efficiencies that we've been able to get from the testing company, and now that everything's, on a digital platform, they get the results back to us quicker. And then Dr. Arola is able, and Ms. Kaufman's team can go through and do what they need to do to make sure it's all clean. But August 1 was that deadline so that we could put that in for the contract with the vendor to make sure that they get those back to us. Typically, they do get those back to us before August 1. And as soon as we get them and get them processed and to a point where they can be released, we do release them. We don't wait until August 1 to release them. We get them out as soon as we possibly can. It worked out pretty well this year, because we had moved the testing window out because of our last school year because of COVID. And so but the results still got back to us in July. And I don't think we had, we had some questions about that just along the lines that you had mentioned. But I think all in all for this past year, it worked out pretty smoothly. We were able to do the testing later in the school year, and we still were able to get the results back to the districts in time for them to use those in their planning.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay, a motion by Ms. McFetridge,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, I think we have an item 10. Public comment release rules governing visual art and music instruction. Mr. Daughtery.
Yes, the division requests that the board release the rules or approve the rules governing visual art and music instruction in grades 1 through 8 for public comment pending governor's office approval.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, do we have a motion?
I will move to approve pending governor's office approval.
Motion by Dr. Rankin,
Second.
seconded by Dr. Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, is Ms. Smith on?
Not quite yet, but if I may, I should have mentioned this when we were discussing the rules on the tutoring core. But Dr. Wally is on, and she has been leading that project and can give you all an update. I think this is a project that's gone pretty well so far, and I'm pleased with the results of it. And Dr. Wally can give you the most recent update on that. So, Madam Chair, with your permission, would let Dr. Wally talk to you all about where we are with that process.
That would be great.
Good morning. I'm Misty Wally, Director of Special Projects. And just to share an update where we are, we just started this, really started the training in September. And right now, as of December the 29th, we have held 80 trainings. 14 of those were just informational trainings. The other 66 were initial trainings on the curriculum for the Arkansas Tutoring Corps. As of right now, we have 750 applications across the state. We now have 98 qualified tutors. So just thinking that they just started getting their curriculum in November, I think that's pretty good that we are where we are right now. Our goal is to get to I believe we said 100 by December. So I think we're pretty close with 98. So our approved sites, we have contacted all of the out-of-school networks. Of course, pre-approved are all public schools, universities, education service cooperatives, and any Arkansas out-of-school network affiliates. So if any schools have been gone out and done a pre-approval, or any community organizations, boys and girls clubs, foster homes, those approval has gone to the statewide community portal, which is where we house any resources that are needed for the state. So I think y'all have seen that before, but it's probably been a while that that's been in front of you. But anything that the community needs, those portals, those out-of-school networks and approved sites have been added to that. As far as certified tutors have to go through all levels, and we have not been doing this long enough for us to have any certified tutors. There are 7 levels, and we've got some who just entered level 2. Implementation as of last month, November the 18th, we had not had any tutoring hours just because we were trying to get everybody to the qualified status. As of this month, we now have 340 tutoring hours that have been documented. So we are well on our way. And then, like I said, we've also set up the system for school districts to be able to access the tutoring list through that statewide community portal. We tried to combine those resources just because those tutors can be such a benefit for the community, that the community can reach out to those tutors as well and then go through the pre-approval site to be a tutoring site. So a lot of things have happened, and I do want to just give a shout out to the Office of ERZs, because they put in a lot of Saturday trainings and a lot of night trainings just in order to accommodate these tutors and their schedules to get them their initial training. That's it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Anyone have a question for Ms. Wally? That's fantastic news. It shows how hard that y'all have been working, and it's a great thing for the students of Arkansas. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank y'all. And I'll be sure to pass that word to the Office of ERZs.
And Ms. Newton, Stacy is on now. So we can go
All right.
back to item number 8.
Okay, so we're on item 8, Rules Governing the Right to Read Act.
Good morning. I wasn't on earlier, so I didn't hear the actual questions that y'all had, but I'm happy to answer any of them.
Ms. McFetridge, you want to state your original? I think you had 3 questions, maybe.
Yes, I was wondering if you could just talk to us a little bit about why the year changed from 2023 to 24 instead of 2022 to 23.
That's a good question. We actually extended it for the 2 years because of COVID. And really, we almost, as far as the RISE academies, we wanted to keep those in person instead of going directly to online. And so it really delayed teachers getting through and getting the training that they needed. It also delayed administrators who had to go through the RISE Academy and then also had to turn around and go through the Assessor Academy to determine proficiency. And so that was the reason we delayed it.
Okay, thank you. And then I think Secretary Key answered my question about adding pre-K, excuse me, into the science of reading and the pre-K teachers training.
But Ms. McFetridge, I'd feel much better if Stacy answered that, because I may have I could have gotten any of those points wrong. And while we have an opportunity to get it right, I'd rather have Stacy address that.
Okay.
So let me make sure I understood the question. It was about pre-K teachers having RISE training. Yes. Is that it? So the requirement, the requirement for pre-K is not there. However, we did, there was a literacy training for pre-K that was not aligned to the science of reading. And our folks in the literacy department have put together training that is aligned. And we used our ESSER funding this last year to actually launch that professional development that's aligned with science of reading. We also provided an actual curriculum to any pre-K through the state that wanted to participate in the training for free. to kind of build that up. But there's not a requirement for pre-K to be science of reading trained, but we did align the training. They're required in the rules to have literacy training. And so the training now is aligned.
Okay. Okay. How many schools do you remember off the top of your head have trained their pre-Ks in the science of reading then, or used that?
Yeah, so that just started this last year, and I would have to actually get that information from Lori Bridges, but I'll be happy to pull that from her. They had the number of teachers that are participating in the training, and they had the school districts across the state that actually chose the curriculum as well. So I can get that list to you. But it's a pretty good, I know we were pleased with the initial numbers that came in, but I don't have those off the top of my head. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. And then there was another section in the proposed law that said, let's see, each public school district must designate each teacher as having demonstrated proficiency or awareness in e-finance. And I was confused by that.
Oh, so they have to designate within the system by where the teachers are, where they are in the proficiency. It's the record keeping piece. That's how we pull the data at the Department of Ed. So the teachers' licensure information is in the e-school system, and in there they have to mark that the teachers were either proficient or they have awareness within that system, and then that's how we pull the data at the state.
But each teacher doesn't have to demonstrate proficiency.
So each teacher K-12 has to have awareness, and K-6 has to have proficiency. And so the school district's responsible for marking it in the system when the teacher has reached the one that they're required to have. And then as a state, we pull that information so that we can keep up with it across the state.
Okay.
So that's our tracking system.
Okay.
Stacy, I think
go ahead.
Stacy, I think the confusion is it makes it sound like that the teacher has to have proficiency or awareness of e-finance instead of the science of reading. So somehow or another, it just needs to change so it can say, you know, that's where it's documented maybe.
Can you tell me what number that one is?
4.03. Yeah, it's very confusing.
No, I see where you're saying that at. Yeah, it says must designate each teacher as having proficiency or awareness in e-finance. That's something we work with legal on because I don't think that's a substantial change. Then make sure that's clarified. So that's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
It does read that way if you weren't sure of what it was asking.
Right. Any other questions for Ms. Smith while we have her on? Thank you, Ms. Smith, for taking the time to join us.
Absolutely. I'll stay on for a while in case some other questions come up about any of the rules.
Okay, thank you.
Take care of that cold.
Yes, feel better.
Thank you.
All right, I think we're ready for a motion. This is on the rules governing the Right to Read Act.
I'll make the motion to approve pending governor's approval.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. McFetridge.
I'll second.
Have a second by Mr. Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, motion passes. I think that was our last set of rules that we had today. And I don't know of any new business. Ms. Freno, do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
Okay. So if we don't have any other business, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Sutton, seconded by Dr. Moore. And I guess all in favor of that?
Aye.
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 Right. Y'all have a good rest of your holiday and stay safe, and we'll see you in January. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank
Happy-
you. I
Bye.
appreciate all of you.
Right.